I want to talk about domestic abuse and what our community is doing to stop it. Tonight, community members in Montgomery County will gather at Veterans Memorial Park to release thousands of purple carnations in the lake representing domestic violence victims and survivors. Joining me this morning to talk about flowers on the lake, the ceremony, is founder Judge Echo Hudson and Linda Keyrose with Montgomery County Women's Center. Thank you both for coming in this morning to talk to us about this. What's the inspiration behind this ceremony?
Oh, sure. So, Flowers on the Lake, every year, I worked at the district attorney's office as the chief of the domestic violence division. And every year we had some sort of awareness event in the county, and just looking around trying to find something that we could bring people in. You know, domestic violence is a very heavy topic.
It is.
It's very
with a lot
hard,
of layers.
right?
Absolutely.
And people kind of shy away from that, and so we wanted to make it something a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more beautiful, something that could really bring some feeling to it that wasn't quite so deep and hard to take. So there's a campus in Indiana, a university, that they would put flower petals on the lake. And so we said, well, why can't we do that in our community? But we made it ours, obviously. The Montgomery County Veterans Commission has a lake, and so we partnered with them and the Women's Center. And we use carnations, we use real flowers, and the turtles in the lake actually like the flowers.
It's like food for them, right?
It's very, it's very environmentally friendly, So, but the participants at the event actually get to participate in that. The attendees get to actually participate, and it's a community event, and it's to raise awareness, and so it's very touching.
I think the biggest thing from this event too is not just for the survivors, but it's also for our first responders. So that's what we try to make it about this year, because when a domestic violence call comes in, who are the first ones at the door? You know, who are the ones there who are at the front lines helping, which is the victim advocates, police officers, EMTs, and that's where we try to get them to partner with us and come to this wonderful event.
And it's important for them to know how to respond in these situations, because these situations are unique. And as you said, they are heavy. This topic is extremely heavy, and there are a lot of layers. And what I love about this ceremony, from listening to you ladies talk about this, it also gives people hope. Hope that there is life beyond the violence that they're subjected to and maybe trapped in.
Absolutely. And it takes a community. It takes the first responders. It takes medical providers. It takes community advocates, and it takes the judicial system, and it takes all of us working together really to help these people. It's something that tends to stay behind closed doors. And the statistics are that the vast majority of these crimes and offenses happen in the home. And so when the homicides happen, when the murders happen, it happens in the home. And so we want to bring that out into the conversation. And we want to let people know that there are people who will help.
And break that stigma, I think, is the biggest thing, because, you know, people hear you're in a domestic violence situation and they say, well, why don't they just leave? It's the biggest question, right? And it's not that easy, and there's so many barriers to leaving, and we want to raise awareness to that.
We started an initiative here at KPRC earlier this year called Breaking Free, and we were tasked as reporters to go into the community and find solutions to domestic violence while providing resources to something that impacts so many people. And you know, the layers to this, it's not one size fits all. It's not a one-stop shop for help. And the more we talk about it, the easier it is for people to break free. What are some of the resources your center offers?
So Montgomery County Women's Center has been around for over 40 years. We don't just service Montgomery County. We work with all kinds of victims, so men, women, and children. We offer a 24/7 shelter. We can house up to 75 people at a time. In that shelter as well, we offer counseling, case management, legal services, and on top of that, all of those services are completely free. And I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to seeking out services, is that it is very hard to find something that is low cost or it's free. And so we try to help in that manner. And not only that, but we partner with the district attorney's office too, where we're able to refer people to each other and say, hey, I think this client will need some assistance, and we can further help them out through that. We do have a 24/7 hotline, so many times people think, well, I'm not a victim. when do I call? You can have a friend, you can have a family member. Your neighbor could be going through something and you just don't know how to help or how to assist. Our hotline can walk you through that. Safety planning, how to provide a crisis intervention. Just giving a resource, it can be a big help.
Yeah.
People think, we need to physically get this victim out of the situation, but sometimes a simple hotline or a simple saying, I believe you and I support you, can make a world of a difference.
Judge Hudson, paint for us the picture, the need for these types of resources in Montgomery County when it comes to caseloads.
Well, I think that, domestic violence is something that it has no barriers. It is all parts of our society, right? It doesn't matter what culture you're from. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic background you're from.
Your age, your gender, your sexual
Absolutely
orientation.
not. It is a human behavior, unfortunately. It can be learned in a generation, but then it can leap generations, and it's cyclical. And so children who experience domestic violence then go on to either perpetrate it or experience it again as adults.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it is in all parts of our community, and it is going to continue to be in all parts of our community, and it's something that we just really need to just accept as something that the way to break that cycle is to offer resources and education.
Yeah.
Education is key. How do we de-escalate violence in a way that doesn't include violence, right? How do we de-escalate conflict that doesn't include violence? And so education is key, and that is resources. And so when it comes to resources, and that's something that you touched on a minute ago when you were talking about the project that you had worked on, is resources for each individual, they're different at the time that they need them. And so what we also find statistically is that offering resources to individuals experiencing domestic violence, that is what decreases the homicide rate.
Yeah.
And so resources in our community is the most important thing that we can do. We combine together as a community, all the way from law enforcement, judicial responses, but all the way to advocacy.
Yeah.
That's what saves lives.
And having these conversations, letting people know that they're not alone, that help does exist, regardless of where you are, who you are, and what you're facing. People are there for you at all times.
When you call, someone will be there, and we care.
Yeah.
Yes.
We so much appreciate you both coming in
Thank you so
and
much.
having this conversation with us. I know it's not always an easy conversation to have. As we said, there are several layers to it, but it's important for us to talk about it.